Hi everybody, and welcome to session 4 of EDUC 2110. Be sure you're checking out the course plan to make sure that you know what are the bottom line issues and assignments that you want to make sure you get done by the end of the session. Also be sure that you're making acceptable progress in your field experience project. That's due at the end of the semester, but it's the kind of thing that you want to get done before the end of the semester if you can. So be sure you've read about it, you've declared your field experience, and you're taking care of your hours. You need 10 total. If you do 5 of the hours I provide in coursework, then that's 5 taken care of, and you only have to do 5. But some of you aren't going to do all your assignments that I provided, so you might have to do more than 5 hours of field experience. Anyway, get her done. Figure out what you need to do and make sure you get it done. It's due at the end of the semester. This session's issue is about curriculum and the Common Core standards. You may or may not be aware, but for every class that's taught from K through 12, and we're talking language arts, math, science, social studies, Spanish, French, shop, computer stuff, computer classes, business classes, welding, all of those classes have standards, which are lists of what students should know and be able to do. So the lists of standards. So this issue is a little bit about curriculum. So curriculum is part of that. Curriculum is part of what do we think students should know and be able to do. That's what curriculum is. And the Common Core is a fairly new reform movement in the standard. It's a series of standards for K through 12 math and English that Georgia has adopted along with about 44 other states in the United States. And it's sort of becoming more controversial now, which makes it an interesting educational issue. Partly to be humorous, because I personally find the reading of educational standards to be very dry and dull, and reading about what is curriculum and what is instruction and what is teaching, it's a little bit boring maybe, it's a little bit dry, and so I put that tag, boring but important, because it really is. It may not be the most dynamic thing you've ever read, but I try to give you that long setup so that you kind of know what we're talking about as we go in and we talk about the Common Core. So I give you that background on that blog topic about what is curriculum, instruction, and teaching, what is the history of standards in Georgia, just a little bit. I don't give you a full history, but talk about the Georgia performance standards, which we still have, and then how we now have added the Common Core standards. It's something you really need to know about, even if you don't teach English or math, because English and math are the Common Core areas. Those are the areas where we have Common Core standards. Coming in science, we'll soon have, I think, the next generation science standards, which are kind of like Common Core of science. So these national level standards are coming in to Georgia. Soon we'll have 3 different major sets of standards. We'll have the English and math from Common Core and the next generation science, and who knows what else is coming. So it's just one of these educational issues that maybe it's a little bit boring, but it's also super important. And also I have a field experience embedded in here, and there's about an hour's worth of movies that I want you to watch. They're movies where people reflect on their practice. They talk about strategies for doing various things that are valued in teaching, and I think they're really awesome. I found this the source of these movies. I found them on the Georgia Department of Education website. This is actually a professional development resource that the Georgia Department of Education recommends for teachers and even speech-language pathologists practicing in schools who have to deal with parents, who have to deal with how do you start a session. A lot of the things that you see speech-language pathologists in these videos applies to the very work that you would be doing in the school setting. Maybe not everything. It's kind of hard to provide any professional development that suits everybody in the school setting. But so there's that embedded experience as well, and then of course you have follow-up blog post. Let me think. I'd have to look at the blog post to tell you more about it. I wrote it all just a few days ago, and I've already kind of forgotten some of the details. Anyway, blog buddies, be sure you go figure out who your blog buddy is for this session and go read their blog post, summarize it, promote it on the Google community. Also, your philosophy of education is due by the end of the session. And something I almost did this weekend, actually, if you went onto the course plan for about a 30-minute period this weekend, end of January, beginning of February, I went in and I actually made the philosophy of education, I pushed back the deadline to the end of the class. But then I thought, better not. Better just keep it here in session 4. So the deadline's session 4, but on this particular assignment, if you take to the very end of the class, that's fine. just let me know. I mean, I'm going to start worrying about people if I haven't heard from you, but if you need to the end of the class to do the philosophy of education, if shifting that over there to the end helps you, great, because it would actually work well here or at the end. And the reading that the philosophy of education paper is based on is so tied to this particular session. It's tied to curriculum and the philosophy that you have about how teaching and learning should take place. So it really fits in this module. So I thought for people that can, do get it done. But for those of you, again, who can't, go ahead and feel free to push it back and get it done later in the semester. The risk with later in the semester is, in a lot of classes, you have a lot of projects at the end, and you're going to be slammed, and you're going to feel horrible, with all the things you have going on. So that's the good thing about trying to push to get it done right now. Okay, so moments in educational history. This may be a bit of a stretch, but I love the story about this kid who went and hunted for a huge octopus and dragged it out of the Seattle Bay and upset a lot of people. When I read it, I just kept thinking, this is what he was taught to do in his classes. This is what he learned to do in school. He learned how to go forage for his own food, and this is what he learned based on the curriculum and the way he was taught. So anyway, I just thought it would kind of there's a relationship in there. I say go read it, see what you think. It's a very entertaining, interesting story. I'd be curious to know what you guys thought about Dylan Mayer's exploit. Finally, session 4, takeaways. Be sure that you post your takeaways in a fairly timely fashion. Again, like I said in another spot, if you're a few days late after the module's ended, that's fine. I just want to see evidence and that history on your wiki page. Your wiki page has a history that I'm able to see. You're able to see it too if you find it, but if you go look for it in the upper right hand area, I want to see in that history that you have been jotting those takeaways on a regular basis, not just the night before they're due in session 6. All right, this is session 4. I hope that you enjoy it, and let me know if you need any help or have any questions. Thanks.